Good morning and welcome back to another 5-minute weekly market outlook presented by Coinbase Advanced. So for those of you guys that have been watching these outlooks week to week, I think you are very comfortable with the meta that we're trading in, the levels that we are trading around, and how we are setting our bullish invalidations on an intra-week basis for continuation and the pullback levels that we are appreciating over the last several months. So the first thing I want to point out to you guys once again is that we are beautifully rotational over the last 3 months on the quarterly VWAP. We've used the quarterly VWAP multiple times to our advantage trading over the past 3 months for these key contextual levels. Once again, we're trading down into that quarterly value area low. This is also confluent beautifully on the yearly as our yearly value area high, which we used as confluence the last time around at the end of August, early September at our bottoming location. And once again, we are trading at the bottom end of our monthly VWAP, which I'm going to talk about briefly. Last week, I let you guys know the trailing invalidation for the bulls is going to be on two-pronged basis. Number one is going to be holding outside of that monthly value or that monthly value area high. And number two was going to be on a 12-hour trend basis. And number three was going to be on the 16.2K composite value area low. So we were looking last week. I'm going to briefly touch on last week's outlook and how that played out. We were talking a lot about holding above 16.2. We wanted to find acceptance above 16.2 and look for that rotation towards the quarterly value area high at 120K. Our trailing invalidation on this play was based on two-prong. One was going to be failing to hold above 116.2. Number two was going to be failing to hold outside a monthly value. And number three was going to be on the 12-hour basis. So you could have used all three of these three things to your advantage for that bullish continuation. The quickest one was going to be losing 16.2. The next one that was really fast is going to be telling you on the monthly VWAP. And the last thing that occurred was that 12-hour trend. Once again, hopefully that helped you guys on your trades, your bias for everything going into this week. We also talked about losing that monthly value area high is going to bring in that big rotation down to the monthly VWAP. We traded even below that, and now we're holding the monthly VWAP as resistance. So that brings us to intra-week plans for the rest of this week, for the rest of this month. Once again, we've talked a lot extensively about the 113K level. This was our composite value area high before, and now it is going to be our line in the sand for bears based on the 4-hour trend, which has been beautiful over the past 2 weeks, and that monthly VWAP that we just spoke about. All of these things are converging at 113K. Now, what I want to bring your guys' attention to really quickly is how between 113K and 116K, not a lot of volume has been done. Every single time that we lose these composite value area lows, we trade very, very quickly to about 113, 112. You guys can see this here. You can see the liquid move that we had on Jackson Hole, how we bled right through it on the way down, how when we broke 113 about 2 weeks ago, we traded very quickly in 116. When we lost this level, we traded very quickly to 113. Once again, my bias would be if we can break 113, it's going to bring those higher values into play. The quarterly VWAP, the monthly value area high, the point of breakdown, all of these things are once again converging around 114, 115. So we're looking to break outside 113, make that move to 114, 115. If we can accept the next time around above 116, I do think we're geared up to set a higher high. This rejected the first time around. In Axiom and markets is Ethereum and markets is first test, best test. So this was our first test of this region. We want to break through it the next time around. Again, on a high time frame basis, based on the VWAPs, based on the trends, everything that we're seeing, I believe that this is gearing up to be a higher time frame, higher low, and that is the way that I am trading and positioning around it. So last thing before I close out this outlook, I want to talk to you guys about Ethereum. Last week, we spoke quickly about how Ethereum has been holding its daily trend basically the entire quarter. Since the quarterly open, we have held the daily trend. This has provided immense opportunity for trades on Ethereum. We took this one, we took this one. We're losing the daily trend right now, and I spoke to you guys about last week how the bias would be daily trend loss would equal weekly trend tag. So now this is confluent with the quarterly green line right here. It's confluent with your yearly value area high, the top of the purple band right here. All of these things are converging around 3,800, 3,900. And like I said, all these values can move upwards if price just continues to drift sideways. Tagging these levels is going to give you the highest EV or the highest RR on the next trade setup, and we want to be extremely optimistic if that time comes in the future. Now, how does this kind of cross over with Bitcoin plans? If we're kind of more optimistic on Bitcoin, but we're looking for pullbacks on Ethereum, I'm going to bring you guys attention to quickly the ETH BTC chart. So the ETH BTC chart gives you that proxy on how Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin this entire quarter. The ETH BTC chart has also lost its daily trend. It also opens up a gap down to the weekly. So it could be the case that Ethereum remains a little bit weaker than Bitcoin for the next few weeks until we get that weekly trend tag, in which case we can look for being that outperformance on Ethereum over Bitcoin moving forward. So a little bit on the back foot on Ethereum. I'm going to take my time on Ethereum before I reposition there, but I'm very optimistic on Bitcoin. We're watching those signs of momentum loss. We have local composite value buildup on Bitcoin. Everything, like I said, mentioning that we're trying to break above 113, and we're going to continue being optimistic at 110, 111K for all those VWAP levels, the weekly trend, all of these things that we've mentioned, and we're trying to break above 113K. That's going to do it for your guys' weekly market outlook. If you guys are interested in altcoins, I always want to remind you guys that I stream live on Mondays. You can find all of the timestamps for the altcoins that are covered either in the actual timestamped bar or in the comments section below. So feel free to do that. You'll find alts that you guys are interested in, and come hang out. I'd love to have you guys in the live stream. Anyways, I'll see you guys next week.